Bonjour, listening people.
Oh, I was going to say...
You could say another language hello if you want.
I was actually going to say it like bonjour, but yeah.
Buongiorno, listening people.
Hello?
It is I, one of the hosts of Spit and Polish here, Ryan Slawinski, and I'm joined by my fellow spitting young gentleman who happens to also be Polish.
Yes, my name is Bartek.
Bartek. Bartek and I host a movie podcast here, but at the moment we've also been talking on my other podcast, Yum Yum podcast, about the Star Trek Starfleet Academy show. And I bring this up not only just to say, check that out, it's fun time, Bartek's new to Star Trek, hasn't really experienced anything of it until this, but one of our commenters over there keeps routinely spelling Bartek's name wrong, but in different ways.
I actually don't know this.
In different ways. So our good friend Nick, who has recommended...
The Martian?
Yes, Nick the Martian. He recommended, he did it Bartek as in a C in there before the K. And then one time...
Kind of cool, actually.
But then one time, to mix it up, he put a H in there instead of the K. So Bartek, as in technology. And then I said, I like that you keep misspelling it. Keep doing this, please. I think this is very enjoyable. And his response to this, that I thought you would very much enjoy, was, because we're talking about Klingons, he's like, oh, I'm sorry, Bartek, Bar, and then an apostrophe, capital T-E-E-K, like a Klingon name. A proper Klingon name will have like an apostrophe, or a Vulcan name, apostrophe. So that's your Klingon name, is Bartek.
Mm-hmm. And how's the mispronunciation of that then?
No, that would be Bartek.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to have that tick. The tick is a real sound because you're Klingon now.
I've never been lectured to about my own name before.
Yeah, but welcome. You've been lectured about your own name now. But we are here, as stated, to talk about movies on our show. This is Pictures Powwow, in which we discuss a film that has come recommended from somebody, whether it is Bartek, myself, or you, the listening people. This week, it was my time. It was the time in which we go over a film that I recommended. And for 2026, we're going to try our best to look at films that came out over the course of our podcast. We've been at this since 2015, and that means there's many movies that have come out during that time, and ones that perhaps one of us has seen and the other hasn't, or neither of us have seen, or maybe we've both seen it, but we said, maybe that's worthy of being on the podcast and we can talk about it. And one of those is the case here. I have seen this movie. I'm pretty sure Bartek hasn't. And I was like, oh, I want to do this movie. I want to do this movie. I think it'll be a good one for us to talk about. It'll be something very fascinating. And that is the 2016 film, Elle. Elle as in a woman's name, not just the letter.
Yeah, E-L-L-E.
Which is short for Michelle.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the trivia said that it's actually like French for she or her.
Yes.
So it's just a coincidence.
Yes. Well, I think it's playing on language. This movie is French, directed by Paul Verhoeven, who is Dutch, I do believe. And there's a lot of playing around with language, even just mentioning that title and her name. Like, they do play around with French language a bunch in this, and French culture. So everyone, recommend that check this film out for yourself. It's intense. Mm-hmm. It's a lot.
This isn't a baby film.
This isn't a film for the faint of heart. It deals with sexual assault and violence and the aftermath of such things. I could ask Bartek, or Bartek could ask me, what's a quick log line to get someone invested? But what I just said is the movie. It's about sexual assault and the aftermath of such thing, and how a person, or in this case, a specific person, deals with that and reconciles with that, and how they go about it in a very specific way. This is a character study film. This is about the psyche of a specific individual.
Yeah, it's not just an every man, every woman that gets, raped and has to go through the aftermath of that. It's this very specific person that already has a lot of stuff going on. It's
not per se a rape revenge movie, but there is some thriller aspect, or at least teases you with them, but we'll get into it all in detail, so make sure, again, check this film out for yourself. Magnificent central performance, was quite the awards darling at the time. Isabelle Huppert, who's usually one of those actresses you can guarantee will give you something. She is the queen of the Cannes Film Festival. She's been nominated and awarded the most for her performances at the Cannes Film Festival. So
Okay.
she's the queen of Cannes. But that is that. As I said, I've seen this before. I saw this when it came out, not in the cinema, but I was intrigued. I heard the premise. I heard that the central performance is exquisite. It was, awards winning. People really lauded it. And the director behind this, Paul Verhoeven, who is one of the greatest filmmakers, his run in Hollywood is legendary. RoboCop, Total Recall, Basic Instinct, Starship Troopers, even his infamous stuff like Showgirls has left a mark. And so after he got burnt out on the Hollywood system, because, he originally started in Europe, came to America, a lot of his films that were in America dealt with his perception and or disgust with American excess and greed and capitalism and culture.
RoboCop wasn't like that.
No, I buy that for $1. So then he said, I'm done. I'm leaving. I'm going back to Europe. I'm going to make some fucked up movies over there. And Elle is one of those. And this was quite the big deal when it came out because also it was his first ever French language movie. He had never done French before. And we can talk about the behind the scenes of some of that stuff because it's quite extensive. And it's not his most recent film, also a French film, Benedetta, which has one of the actresses from this as the lead. So
yeah, the trivia was talking a lot about him and his relationship to France, where he was like really nervous because he just learnt the language and he'd never worked with this crew before. But then it was just like a dream come true, and he loved it so much. He's like, I need to make another French film at some point.
They love cinema. They love the craft, and so it all snapped into place. But we can get into that more. Bartek, Elle, any knowledge of this film? Any history?
It was ringing some sort of bell. I hadn't seen it before, but I feel like I'd heard about it somewhere. And when I saw how the film started, I realized where. And it was you were telling myself and our friend Will about it a couple of years ago. Without going into what, we were like workshopping some sort of like story idea, and the topic of rape came up, and we were struggling a little bit with like, oh, how do you handle this kind of thing? And I said something about like, oh, what about like not going down like a full traumatic route? And you're like, oh yes, there's a film called Elle that kind of goes into that. So when the film started, I'm like, oh, this is that film Ryan mentioned in that discussion. So I was very interested because I remember after that discussion, I'm like, I should check that out at some point. I want to see how they handle it.
So, you knew some pieces, or at least it started to present itself in your mind when you were sitting and watching it. But what did you feel about this movie? What did you feel about it overall?
I liked it quite a lot. It's definitely a heavy film, but it kind of has this weird sort of like dark humor about it as well.
At the end of our last discussion, we had a bit of a break between. I said all these heavy things, but also it's a comedy? Question mark? It does have a lot of dark comedy in there, yes.
It's the kind of film that you'd say like is a dark comedy, but also there could be people that have seen this film, and if you tell them it's a comedy, they might be horrified.
Oh, yes.
Because it is just that kind of heavy film.
The subject matter is a make it or break it for many people, and the way that the film handles it, many times over the idea of sexual assault narratives, there's this set in stone perception of how you have to handle them or how the stories have to be told. Like I mentioned, rape revenge is a whole genre on itself. And, there are films that actually handle that tastefully and or with some feminist ideals. And then there are films like, I Spit on Your Grave, which are just exploitation sleaze. And this film is not like other, like there are drama films that's like, we're dealing with sexual assault and we're going to deal with like the emotional burden of it. And I'm forgetting the name of that film, but it's like a legendary one where I want to say it's Jodie Foster is the lead actress in it, or somebody where a woman gets sexually assaulted on a pinball table, and it's like a well-known story.
I've heard the concept.
And that film, that story is like a great one that people point to as like, this is how you're supposed to handle this. But Elle doesn't do that. Elle is very mannered of a film. Shockingly, Paul Verhoeven is a very campy director a lot of the time. There's lots of extreme material. He's got a great visual eye, but there's always a level of heightened quality to his works. RoboCop, obviously, because it's a genre piece, but then you go to something like Basic Instinct, where if you haven't even seen Basic Instinct, you know of Basic Instinct because of the Sharon Stone crossing her legs and Wayne Knight sweating profusely trying to get a look in there, and it's very overwrought, very frenetic, very very melodramatic, his films, and I love that about them. But Elle is kind of a surprising breath of fresh air for him in that way, because everything's so stripped back and mannered and quiet and very much in tune with what the main character herself is like. The music, everything about the movie is in rhythm with the central character rather than the director's previous established quirks, say, or his rhythms or his tone. There is humor to be had here, as we mentioned, dark humor, but even that isn't played over the top. The most over the top thing you get is one of the what could I have done dream sequences she has. She beats the assailant to death with an ashtray, and that's very extreme, and that's the most Verhoeven I feel the film gets in terms of like what other people would know him for. But even that,
yeah, because it's like a fantasy sequence.
Yeah, and even the way it's done there, it's not like you're laughing at that. It's just, okay, it's still going. It's still a lot. But I saw this and I loved it. I saw it back in the day. I thought it was sharp. I thought it was insightful. I thought it was funny. It is dealing with a lot of tricky things, and I could see why this ruffles a lot of feathers. And I think we need films like this because it's clearly trying to make statements. It has things to say. It has points of view. Whether you agree or disagree with the morality of those points of view, there's just something to admire about. From my end, when I watched this originally, like, oh, I haven't seen a sexual assault narrative be portrayed this way. It's been very black and white of how they're supposed to be. And Elle herself doesn't want that for herself.
Yeah,
and so
you were saying before about how, like, oh, you got a film where it's about rape, sexual assault survivor. There's a way to do things, and this film, again, like you said, it's so in tune with its character that it almost feels like it's always trying to like subvert your expectations. It's like, oh, how does she respond to this situation? Oh, like this, okay. And you see where that goes.
And yeah, there's a lot to take in. And on my rewatch last night, my sisters watched this movie because I recommended it to them, and my sister, I think, likes it even more than I do. And I was saying to my sister, oh, I was a bit worried coming in that the film wasn't going to be as funny as I remember it. But then that fucking cat with its blank-faced, uncaring eyes, I was like, no, it's still pretty funny. But the scene I said to my sister, I messaged them going, oh, it's still as funny as I remember, was Elle going to buy extra powerful mace and then stopping to look at a little
like the little hand axe,
hand axe hatchet, and being like, I want this too. And it just made me laugh. I was like, okay, this is fucking good stuff. And then shortly after, you get more stuff with her cat, and on it goes. There's a lot of surprising humor there. But tell me a bit more about your experiences, your thoughts and feelings overall. Like you said, you like this, but give us some more insight.
Yeah, while I was watching it, I was constantly wondering, like, how will our main character respond to each of the things that happen to her, and what level of sympathy that you'll have for her. Because again, the way you're meant to do these stories, and also like inherent morality that we have if we're good people, is like, oh, this is a survivor of something traumatic, we will be sympathetic to her. But the film actually does a pretty good job of making her pretty despicable in a lot of different parts of her life.
Yeah.
Like the way she handles certain things, she's two-faced. She breaches privacy with her company in ways that like weren't even necessary to her initial goal. She is very blasé about the infidelity that she is having, like, her friends' husbands commit on
Yeah.
them. Yeah, and it was really interesting while watching it, being like, man, there's so many despicable things here, but also I'm still grappling with like the sympathy of what happened to her.
Mm-hmm. There's a clear-eyed nature to the film itself, even if the character herself is still processing and figuring it all out. Like, one of the things that immediately is so disarming about the movie is we start it on the assault. We
Mm-hmm.
don't know anything going on.
It's like still black.
It's still, we hear it and we cut to the face of this cat looking on. We see this man in a ski mask. We see her on the ground, and you're like, oh fuck, we're immediately going there. That's already disarming. But the thing that's truly disarming is she just quietly, calmly gets up, grabs the dustpan, and sweeps up all of the broken things and puts it in the bin. Takes her dress off and puts it in the bin. Orders some sushi and has a bath.
Mm-hmm.
And she's bleeding, and she's just like, okay, just get rid of that. And she just goes on with her day. Her son comes to visit, and she has her excuse for why she's got a black eye, and she goes to work, and her work is making video games, and the video game that she's making is having a scene of sexual assault in it.
Yeah, direct parallels.
And she's critiquing that it's not orgasmic enough.
Mm.
And she's so cold about it, and you're like, okay, this is disarming for all these reasons, but I think there's just an honesty there. A lot of movies skip out with a lot of rape survival stories, like the aftermath immediately. Like, it's usually portrayed in movies as, and not saying that this isn't many people's experiences, but like, the crying and I've got to phone the police and all that. But many times over, people do this, where this does happen, where it's like, okay, I have to get up and I have to deal with the mess that's in front of me now, and got to try and, process what's happening here. You could say that they're like, so traumatized that they're not willing to,
it'll hit
deal
them
with stuff.
later.
But then we get more of this character, and the more you learn of her, the more it's understandable why she reacted exactly like this, and why she won't go to the police, and why she won't do these things.
Like,
oh,
it takes like one or two scenes for her to take like some friends out to dinner, and they're all having like a good time, and she's like, oh no, I have to tell you guys now what happened. And, she isn't super emotional in that either. It's just like, I just have to come out and say it. This is what happened.
Shocking that she told people,
yeah.
Honestly. Especially with how she was portrayed before, you could see even the man she's having an affair with is like, oh, you seem like the type that will just like, bottle it up, pretend nothing happened, and just keep going. And he's like, you could have imagined, but no, she actually tells people that this happened to her.
And they're more like shocked. Well, I guess that makes a bit more sense because, person you're close to just revealed this to you, but yeah,
the way she says it.
Yeah, the clear contrast of like, yeah, not obviously in this situation maybe she'd be a bit calmer, but even outside of it, we haven't seen her anywhere near this. I mean, obviously while it was happening, but
yeah,
in the aftermath.
Yeah, there's always the conversations to be had about sensitivity and how delicately and how mindfully a narrative goes about this. Like, this is a film directed by and written by men. And so I could very much see the valid pushback of how this portrays certain things. But that lead performance is just so captivating and so enriching that you can't help but be drawn in by it. At least I can't, and I think many people. Isabelle Huppert is just so in it that you don't even think about it as a performance. There's so many little things that she does. Like, we're talking about Elle as like this cold, her as a cold person, but there's so many like funny things. Like, she's very jovial at times too, and like when you see her in the workplace, and like she's jokingly hitting on guys.
She has snarky comebacks.
Yeah, like she feels like a fully rounded person, but she's just very guarded as well. She's just someone that you feel like you could know in the real world, but There's also like all this extra weird background
Yeah, like
detail on her.
how much can you truly know about people that you know in like specific circumstances?
So, what did you think of this lead performance? Have you heard of this actress before? Seen her in anything?
Uh
Aware?
I didn't look her up, so I'm not sure if I have seen her in anything else, and I didn't recognize the name. So as far as I can tell on the surface of my brain, this is my first time seeing her. And she was great. And I think that the script of the film and the story structure really complements well her her whole character of just, you know, we don't know what this person's about, but we learn little things about her, and then we start to, you know, work backwards of like, okay, maybe this is why she is the way she is. Like, there's a lot of intrigue about like, oh, you know, I can't go to the police, they're useless, and you think that it's like, you know, it could be a thing of like, uh, you know, police are not good at handling these kinds of cases because of like, you know, all sorts of different political reasons about like, you know, how it's investigated, evidence, and how a lot of the perpetrators get not convicted because of certain reasons.
Victim blaming.
Yeah, yeah. But then you learn that like, no, she has this like very intense past of her dad being like a notorious spree killer.
Yeah. That there made the rewatch so fascinating because I remembered that. I remembered her deal and I remembered this, and I was like, okay, whenever I rewatch this, I have to see her character and think about this stuff. And boy, was it illuminating. There's just so many little details or so many ways that she reacts to things that I feel that makes sense to me because I know what her background is, and I can, you know, debate or talk about like, do I think that she did this and this and this and this? Because this movie also does have a lot of blank spaces to fill in for yourself of like her, you know, how involved was she in certain things in her past as well as in this movie too, like in this story. Because
the photo of her from like the aftermath of the big spree killing is like the image of that incident, even though she's not the perpetrator.
Yep, but people think she must have been.
Yeah, or co-conspirator.
Yeah, she must have been involved. How could she not? She's like her dad's daughter. Yeah, there's this performance. Yeah, she's in a million things. She's a beloved French actress. She works a lot with Michael Haneke. He did Funny Games and Piano Teacher and Amour. And she's been in a lot of his films, and she works with him very closely. So it makes sense for Paul Verhoeven to be like, I'm going to do a French language film. I need someone to play Elle. You get her. You get this actress because she plays a lot of fucked up characters, a lot of complex characters. The Piano Teachers. That's a wild film, and she's magnificent in it. And so,
gotta see more of her. Yeah,
she's the Queen of Cons, and so it all lines up. But yeah, there's just the little facial expressions, the little judgment looks that she gives people. My favorite sequence of her acting is her quietly losing her mind in the hospital when her son and no one else is acknowledging that this baby is black. And you just see her, you have the instant acknowledgement and she goes, you need a DNA test. But like the bit afterwards where she's like looking at the mother breastfeeding and you're seeing her judging and just like looking at everyone else, and like her former husband is just like looking at her with just like what can we do? And just her like being like, just you feel the gears just turning in her head of like, how do I handle this? No one else is acknowledging it. Am I crazy?
There's a shot of her son's like black friend like looking really, really happy, and you're just wondering like, oh, is this like her perspective?
Yeah.
Just like, how are you here?
Why is no one talking about this? Like, that was a pretty funny scene. It's fucked up, but it's also pretty funny, just her. And then the later payoff of like when they're trying to spread her mum's ashes and she just can't help but like, no, this is it, we're gonna try and nip this in the bud now, and it just blows up and everyone's yelling and threatening to punch each other. Yeah, she's a very nuanced character. You get lots of like, what are her guidelines in life, what are her moralities, what are the things that she holds dear. Like, we find out that she's got this, estranged relationship with this husband figure, whether they're fully divorced or not, but they're still in love with each other. But he crossed a line that she cannot forgive. even
Yeah.
though she's like, you shouldn't have left, which was he hit her. And it's like that she can't deal with that. And that's something throughout the movie you see her kind of reinforce, but then it gets twisted when she enters into this bizarre psychosexual relationship with a certain character we'll talk about in a moment. But like, yeah, she has certain morality lines that she's ardent on, and then when she has to cross them, you either feel like she is feeling dirty about it or she's relishing in crossing it. Like, she never wanted to visit her father, ever. And then when she has to, and the end results of that, she's relishing. She's so happy with she's so vindictively happy with having crossed this line because it ended in a way that was very vile, but for her, cathartic in the end.
And it's interesting seeing her in all her like different positions of like, you got her as a mother, where she is more so like a parent figure in the room, pointing out her son's like obvious big fuck ups and like, there's consequences to this. Her as a boss, where she has a bit more like power, so she can play around a little bit.
Her as the friend.
Her as the friend to her friend, yes. Her as like the ex-wife to ex-husband's like current girlfriend, where there is a bit of that like, backhanded cattiness.
Yes. And obviously there's also her as her mother's daughter too. Like, that was it. I think that's probably my favorite relationship in the movie, and it's only ever so brief, but I thought that I could watch a movie of them. You know what they reminded me of? This is so weird to say.
I wonder if it's the same thing it reminded me of.
What did it remind you of?
The Room?
Yes! But also, it reminded me of Liza Minnelli. Like, her mum reminds me of Liza Minnelli, like that kooky, strange, pixie black-haired lady who's got another worldliness to her, because Liza Minnelli and Judy Garland, they were related, and they have like a infamously tumultuous relationship as mother and daughter and all that. But like, it made me think of them too for some reason, just because, but in the opposite directions. But I did think of The Room a little bit with just like this mother figure who's just like, you gotta do this. It also made me think, this film made me think a lot about Burning, the South Korean movie, even down to our main character's backstory is some fucked up incident where they had to burn all of their clothes into a big fire, and it kind of haunted them for the rest of their lives. And they have this fucked up relationship with a parental figure over it. Like, there's this like, but it's that vagueness of things.
Yeah.
But in Burning, he has a mum that's in one scene in total, but I think about her all of the time, where she does the exact same thing, but the difference is she's on her phone. She's like on her phone while she's like, you got to get married, you got to go visit your this, but she's constantly like texting while on her phone, not looking him in the eye. And in this movie, the mother, she wants Elle to look her in the eye, and Elle just Michelle doesn't want to look her in the eye fully, like on a metaphorical level. Like, she doesn't want to engage with her in any way because she's trying to abdicate for something higher, I guess. Depends what your view
something
of
more
it is.
personal, yeah.
Something spiritual on a level too, because Catholicism is a strong character in this movie. It is something that comes in and out. Or at least Christianity comes in and out of this movie, but which makes sense. Paul Verhoeven has a lot of Catholic guilt in him, that boy. I don't know enough about him as a man, but it does recur in his work, especially after this. He did Benedetta, the lesbian nun movie. So, where he was very upset that he got accused of making a blasphemous movie with that. He was very upset because he's like, I'm just telling the story of history. It's not blasphemy. And then snooty critics were like, but you don't understand what the meaning of blasphemy is. It's still blasphemy. And he's like, fuck you. But what do you think of her mum, Michelle's mother? She's in this movie a handful of times, but she's like the loudest character. She's the most eccentric character.
Yeah, she's like the really like free-spirited character. You get the sense that like, oh, she's had a lot of relationships. Michelle's whole reaction to like, her, oh, I'm announcement, everyone, we're getting married. Just her going, ha! Laughing at this dinner table. It just tells you that this has happened before. This is like typical of her mum. She sees her mum as being, I guess, immature in a way.
She used to be a nurse. Could you believe that?
Yeah, could you believe that, she says.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then it's interesting, when they have the conversations together, like that mum character is being a mum to her, like
Yeah.
giving her, perspective.
There's a thing of you don't want to be your parents.
Hmm.
Michelle doesn't want to be either of her parents. She doesn't want to be her dad's daughter. But she also doesn't want to be her mum's daughter, but they have so much in common, like their relationship to men. It's like her and the mum are just personality-wise on opposite ends of the spectrum, but their behaviors are similar.
Yeah, it was really telling, and that you could very easily see this when the mum is dying and she has her final words. It's like, go see your father. It's like, it's her last request.
Mm-hmm.
And you, the viewer, can sit there and very easily deduce, like, she's not going to do that. And then, like, a scene or two later, she's telling someone, like, yeah, she wants me to do this. I'm not doing that.
But then when the mother dies, she does do it.
Yeah.
I thought the telling thing was her mum is clearly like having a medical episode. She's in the ambulance. She's like reaching out. She's putting all of her energy, physical energy, whatever life force she has left to reach out to Elle and to reach out to Michelle. And Michelle just goes, like she goes like begrudgingly and slowly and takes her fucking time to like, she doesn't even grab her hand. She kind of just like moves it to like lean down to hear what she has to say. She still doesn't want to connect with her.
And you know what? That's like pretty far in the film when this happens.
Mm-hmm.
So you're so in Michelle's shoes that in the very next scene sorry, it's not the next scene, but it's a bit
next
late.
Beat of the story.
Yeah. Oh no, I think it is the next scene. It's when the doctor tells her that her mum's in a coma and she asks her like,
how long?
Yeah, no, she basically asks her like, oh, is it, like, is she faking kind of thing? And all of her questions, because we understand her character, we know that like she's asking these questions for like dickish reasons. Like,
she just doesn't believe.
Is my mum just fucking with me? And I'm sitting there because I'm so in Michelle's shoes. I'm like, the doctor's gonna chew you out for being so immature about this. But then the doctor is like really sympathetic, like, no, I'm afraid it is. I'm like, oh yeah, normally in this situation they would interpret that as like, being in denial or like being agitated, of course. And I was so in Michelle's shoes that it didn't even register me what normal behavior would have been.
And that's a perfect way to describe this movie.
Yes.
Because that's her reactions to so many people. So many people are reacting normally and it's foreign to her. But yet at the same time, you understand why she is like this way. Like a great example is she maces her former, like her ex-husband.
Yeah.
And all of that plays out, and you understand why she did that. It makes sense, but also it's fucking insane that she did that, that she went out of her way, went through the back alley, crawled around. Like, that sequence there was like a thriller action scene. Like, oh, is she going to get found out? Is this person going to get her? And it's like, wait, this is the same movie, but it's like, that's her instant reaction. Like, this is how I'm going to solve this now.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's a lot. And even he's like, am I going to go blind from this? Genuine question to ask. And she's just like, oh, please. No. And even like her applying the ointment, he's like, wow, you know how to do this? And she's like, I've read the label.
And for the listening people, listening to us talking about this, haven't seen the film, you might be noticing like, oh, this is a film about a woman that just got raped, and we're talking about all these things that aren't really about that. But
that's the movie.
But throughout these first 2/3 of the film occasionally delves into like that kind of, paranoia psychological thriller thing where like, there's these characters giving her looks on the street and you, the viewer, are like, oh, are they the one that did it?
He's texting her.
He's texting her and like doing these incredibly like scary texts of like, oh, that beige shirt you're wearing. She's in the middle of her office in like how deep in a building.
There's been a leak of some kind of deep fake pornography in the office, so it has to be someone from in there.
Yeah. So there is psychological thriller like dipping in and out of the film all throughout. So there is tension happening there on top of all of this, everyday relationship dynamic stuff.
Because the film is invested not fully in it being about her investigating and finding out who did it. It's about her reactions to it and how she lives her life. And what does her life look like? Her life is very nuanced and complex. There's relatable qualities to it, but there's also things that are so far beyond the viewer that you have to make it mundane for us to appreciate it. And like the question of is she like a sociopath or psychopath? Like, is she all right even before this incident happened? It's something that you start to wrestle with during the movie because of what we're saying of like, oh, right, a normal person would react that way, but we're so in her head that normal reactions feel foreign and weird and alien to us. And you're like, right, she might have some kind of personality disorder or something, but you don't know because the film is presenting her life, even with the extreme stuff like the sexual assault or her husband moving on with a much younger woman or her mother dying, with a level of just this kind of a distant shrug to it, like, oh, that's going on, yeah.
It's almost jarring when you get some of the scenes with her and her son where like she's like very reasonably chewing him out. Like, you quit your job just because of, you know, this car issue.
Yeah.
Or like when he takes his son to her house, you know, after running away from
basically kidnapping the child, yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, what are you doing? No, this is not going to go well.
She drew the line at him trying to hit the girlfriend too, the mother of the baby. He was about to hit her, and she's like, "Don't you hit her!"
Yes.
Again,
yeah,
it's a very firm line. Even though she's trying to side with her son and look after her son, that's the moment where she's like, don't you do that. Something that really stood out to me, again, too, we say all of this needs to be emphasized again. Michelle is in charge of herself and her life. She's super, super like anal retentive and micromanager, and she's trying to keep everything together. And so when we talk about all these things that are like out of her control, you never get the sense like, oh, she's having a tailspin and things aren't in her control. It's more she looks at these and she grabs tighter. And the tighter she grabs it, the more it hurts other people, but she won't let go until certain things, you know, fall apart in life. But like, that's the thing of like, she would never say she's a victim.
No, she wouldn't.
Even of her father. One of the most telling lines to me is actually kind of refuting that, which was her not wanting to talk to the police. It was probably one of the best exchanges. She's talking to her friend in the office about the assault and all this, and the friend says, "Why didn't you call the police?" And she gives like, "I'm not going to do that because of my past." And her friend says, "Yeah, but this time you're a victim." And she says, "I was a victim back then, and it didn't change anything."
And a friend like just apologizes immediately.
Yeah. The 10-year-old was a victim, by the way. Like, that's the thing too. And it's like, yeah, but even her friend who's known her a long time doesn't view it fully that way, or doesn't think to vocalize like, oh, I have to make it a difference. This is an incident where you're a victim.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you were assaulted. So you are a victim. And she's like, fuck that. I've been a victim before and it didn't mean anything. Like, that label is not what I'm going to attach to myself, because when I've done that before, it fucked me. So
it's a more understandable, I guess, kind of victim, because as horrible as it is to say, like, sexual assault, I think, might be a bit more common than your dad being like a massive murderer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course, of course. But it's that thing of like, she doesn't want to be lessened.
Yeah, I understand, yeah.
Hence she has all of these sequences where she thinks about the attack and how she could have dealt with it differently. Not even all of them about her surviving it. Some of it just like, oh, I could have scratched him. I could have done this.
The cat could have done more.
I am not joking when I say this may be one of the best cast cats in all of media. We talked about in Mad Max 2, that's one of the best cast dogs. That dog in Mad Max 2 is like so awesome. But this fucking cat, whenever I like pitch Elle to people, I always mention the cat. Like, you start out with this intense rape scene, and then you cut to this disaffected cat just watching, doing nothing, thinking nothing. It's just this animal that's just like looking blankly. And then later on, you get the scene where she's getting triggered and she's thinking about it because the cat's looking at her. She's like sitting at the kitchen table and the cat's doing that meowing of like, feed me, fucking feed me. You know that. She's like that kind of demanding attention, and her thinking about the incident. And then like the incident starts to deteriorate because the cat's in the real time meowing is getting louder and louder and louder. And then you cut to the real world and there's this cat just sitting there with his like puffy cheeks and just his blank little eyes, just looking at her like, fucking feed me, bitch. And I'm like, I hate this cat so much. But I affectionately, I think the film doesn't want you to look at the cat and go, oh, what a cutie. It makes you want to look at it and go, oh, it's just another thing in her life that isn't affected by this at all.
But it is cute.
It eats a bird, though. Kills a bird.
It nibbles on the bird, because I think the bird was still alive after she got it.
Yeah, it didn't live for long, though, because no one wanted to look after.
Yeah.
I don't know what France is like. Australia, we have things to deal with that, at least. You can go wires up.
Well, we've got Australian cats. Those are French cats.
Yeah, French cats are different. But for birds, yeah.
But it's not different because it still does a jump scare at one point.
Yeah.
She enters her house and just leaps on her immediately.
Yeah. There was one of the posters is her holding the cat.
Oh, good. So they know who the stars are.
So the film, unusual, I don't know if you read this trivia, but unusual for Verhoeven is a lot of things were left on the cutting room floor. There's 30 minutes worth of material.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with him, he's so meticulous usually that it's usually a couple of minutes of things get chopped out. But this had like a New Year's Eve party that was a bigger deal. But they're like, we've already done a Christmas party.
Yeah, it was just redundant.
Redundancies. And one of them is the cat died.
Yes.
So it disappears from the movie instead. Like, we just don't see it again. But because Verhoeven's like, there's been enough death and misery in the film, I don't think we need to add this here. Like, it would be the point.
It would be hokey. Like, as much as I love The Hunt, I think they did kill the pet thing in there. It was like, oh, you didn't need that.
I remember we said that too. You just mentioned The Hunt. If you want to have a fucked up night, great double feature. These two movies, great double feature about the world's nicest man going through the most horrible thing, and this movie about a really complicated woman dealing with a horrible thing.
You mentioned that she's in control in a lot of the situations in her life, and you get that really contrasted in all of like the paranoia scenes where she doesn't know where the threat is.
And even oftentimes when she deals with it, it's the wrong thing that she's dealing with. Hence, she maced her ex-husband in the face, or little things like that are there.
With so many things being juggled in this film, like, her horrible past, the sexual assault that happened, and just relationship dynamics. Like, every time you get a shot of like just someone looking at her, it just reads as so many different things. Especially when it's the men, because obviously the assailant was a male.
And you may disagree, I don't know, but I think because how the film handles that and so many other things, it doesn't boil down to... It's a mystery film. Yeah. Who was the rapist?
Yeah, it's not.
And when they reveal, but it could have been.
It could have been,
because there's a version where she's looking like she is kind of investigating in this movie, but also she wants to get a video game done. Yeah. She also wants to deal with her ex-husband's new girlfriend. She also wants to do the Christmas dinner party with the neighbors over. Like, she lives her life. This isn't now she's going down the little rabbit hole, like talk about Burning, like the main character in Burning did. Was like, now I must investigate what happened to Jaime. Like, it's.
Yeah, we should be clear. It is a driving question of the film of who did it, but it's not a film about investigating.
And it doesn't, and like we said, it doesn't boil it down to just a whodunit.
Yeah.
Because when we reveal whodunit, there is maybe, I must admit, when I first watched the film, it took me by surprise who it was. And it's because I honestly thought we weren't going to get an answer. I actually thought this could have been a movie where we just don't get an answer and it's more about the other stuff. And then when we do get an answer, it becomes something else as a movie that's just fascinating. But I must admit, like, when I first watched this, I didn't even think of who it could be because my mind was just so drawn to like, what's her past and what's her relationship with this person and what's she going to do with this gun,
With me, because I mentioned before, like, subversion of expectations kind of thing. Like, this is a character whose, life is different from mine, whose way of thinking and reacting to things is different, that I thought like, oh, there's going to be some sort of maybe even like anti-climax to it. Like, the assailant is just going to turn themselves in and it was someone
they're caught by some other incident that they did.
Yeah, so it was a surprise to me that was something that like did get explored a bit more. And
Mhm.
in a way, I was kind of wrong where like the dad plotline kind of had the anticlimax where, you know, she's finally gonna face him and he hangs himself.
I love it though.
No, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing at all, but
Oh, that was one of my laugh out loud moments was her leaning into his corpse just to be like, me coming here killed you. It's brutal, but it's just there's a certain humor in this movie that like
yeah.
that got me. I was
Well,
like,
it's a consolation. She didn't get to spit in his living face.
yeah, exactly. But the dad stuff, I love just how brutal it is. Like he's massacre his spree because also people weren't letting him be Catholic anymore. Like that was a part of it. It was like, and that was a great little bit because earlier in the movie, she's talking to this next door neighbor character, these newly moved in neighbors
Yeah.
who are super Catholic. And she like recites an excommunication like a passage or something.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know it. And she's like, are you really a Catholic then? And he's like, oh, and you do? And she goes, oh, I have some passing knowledge of things. And then you learn about her dad and you're like, oh, is that what we're going to say? And just like all the fucked up shit he was saying that they wouldn't let him say anymore to children and all that. And he just couldn't handle it. So he just went around and killed everyone. He's just like, oh, right. The Catholic element isn't just something for flavor. There's something potent in there. There's a lot of stuff like, you know, one of the joke reviews on Letterboxd is Elle is a Christmas film because, you know, there's a Christmas party and there's Christmas decorations and all that. But it does matter that this takes place during this time because, again, people, if you haven't seen the movie, watch it because we're going to talk about it. But like who the rapist is.
Yeah, it's the male neighbor.
It's the male neighbor who's been presented, the two of the neighbors have been presented as these high-moraled, almost puritanical, like ultra like Christian characters. Like, can we do the prayer? And can we do this? It's midnight, so can we do this and this and this? And it's always laughed at from like Elle. Elle goes, oh, sure, you can. Or like she tries trying to be polite, but she does it in a very surly way. It's like, I wouldn't expect less.
And when you do get the reveal of who it is, it's not a triumphant reveal. It's very disheartening because that character has been presented, you know, on a surface level as a decent person.
One of the only moral men she knows.
Yeah, like he allegedly chased the guy after catching him in the bushes. He ran away. He notices that her windows are like not closed during like a huge storm. So it's like, hey, two issues right there. You could get in and also, you know, close your windows because
he wasn't tempted, but he couldn't follow through on the temptation of having sex with her because she does want him as well. You know, she wants him. She's drawn to him because this is the thing too. A movie about such a subject matter, she's still very sexually proactive after it all. Like her relationship with sex. I've seen some people, you know, who are much more negative on the movie dismiss this as like hokey bullshit of like, oh, once she got raped, you know, it's her discovering her sexuality and it's like a sexual awakening. Like, no. I wouldn't say that fully, but it's more about like her relationship with sex does change. That does change. Like one of the scenes early on was just like the guy she's having sex with, the husband of her friend. He's just like, oh, come on, let's still do it. And she's just like, no. And he's like, oh, come on, the character you are. She goes, okay, the character I have to play is very complicated. So she brings over the bin so he can come in the bin because it still has to happen.
Yeah.
It's still very transactional. The sex still has to happen or some sexual activity still has to happen. But at certain points in the movie later on, she learns to say no, but also that becomes a weird kinky thing. It's so much. But let's talk about this neighbor guy, Patrick. I do believe what his name was. What did you feel about this and all of the stuff that comes out afterwards? The way, like, we reveal him near the halfway point of the movie. There's a lot of movie left. After we reveal.
He's in it for quite a bit before the reveal, too, yeah. Yeah, like I said, he's presented as, like, a really nice guy, going out of his way to help her. Even when she's, like, coming on to him, despite the fact that he's married, he does seem, like, kind of put off by it. There's a scene when his wife is watching, you know, the Christmas mass and like they're having a conversation and he's clearly awkward about, this personal stuff being revealed to him, but he is listening.
Mm.
And so when you do get the reveal, like, she stabs him in the hand, takes off the mask, and it's him. And it's like, oh, now I have to completely discard the, emotions that I had towards this guy and completely reconsider him. And again, because of how this film is, when that reveal happens, the characters almost just have this like, oh, now what kind of thing.
The look at each other when he's getting in the car and she's at the gates.
Yeah, like he just leaves, and then the next day they're both heading out for work. They just look at each other like, yeah, you could call the police on me right now, but you're not, so I guess I'm just gonna do my daily life now.
Goodbye. And then, you see, because this is a Paul Verhoeven movie, and it's a fucked up European movie, and Michelle herself is a very fascinating character, it doesn't just stop there. No. They now enter each other's orbits. She needs him, and she calls on him after she gets into an accident in a car, and she calls on him after a few other people, and now they have this budding psychosexual relationship where the film leaves it vague of like, is it like a non-consent relationship? Because he can't, if it's consensual. Like, that's his thing. He's like, I can't fuck you. So every time they do fuck,
there has to be like a violent element.
There has to be a violent element, but it's like, is she provoking that on purpose?
Yeah, like when she's fighting back, is that like to stir him on so he can do a thing?
And you do get that. I do get that sense that it is that, which I can see again. That's a lot of the negative backlash of this movie, is that decision there.
I was reading some people were saying that like the boiler room scene where, there hadn't been any like, sex stuff between them or rape stuff between them since like the reveal at that point. And he's talking about like, oh, I've got a, boiler down in the basement. And they have this very slow conversation about like, do you want to see it? Yeah.
Yes.
It's like after you, he closes the door behind them.
It's soundproofed.
Yeah, and a lot of people I was reading online was saying like, "Oh, he's gonna kill her," and I was watching like, "No, they're gonna like have sex."
Mm-hmm. And she mentions like, "Vincent's upstairs." He's like, "Yes, he is. What are you gonna do about it?" Like, it turns him on, and it kind of turns her on, which again, swing. That's a big swing to take in your narrative, and I could see it loses people, but Again, it was just so fascinating to me. Like, okay, what is the deal with this person and their relationship? And oh my God, you go through the relationship and the way that they look at each other with such disdain, but there's also something there. And he still wants to think of himself as a good, moral man. And when she invites him to like the game, launch party or whatever it is, and, she has now realized she's gone on this journey. She's now had her epiphanies of like how fucked up the thing she's doing is. She needs to atone for herself in a way. So she does like a full like Phoenix level, like I'll burn it all down type deal. Like I'll tell my friend that I'm the one that your husband's cheating on. I'm going to tell my rapist guy that basically everything we've been doing is fucked up and it's bad, and I'm going to call the police on him when we get back. All of that stuff's there, but then the question comes in of, is this just more of her spurring people on to get this kick? Because she leaves the gate unlocked while saying to Patrick like all of this stuff, and then she leaves the gate unlocked, and there's a level of like, and there's still debate to this day of like that last home invasion scene, like how much of it is a genuine, like it's an assault because he can't take that she's spurned him, or is it one of the fucked up psychosexual games that they're playing?
Yeah, I was reading someone else was saying, and I guess this might be a common one, that it was all a plan to redeem her son.
Oh, yes. I also took the movie as it was also a plan to rid herself of this problem, because she's rid herself of the, her friend and the cheating there by just admitting to it, but how do you rid yourself of this rapist that lives across the street without calling the police? Because she's not going to do that. And yeah, there is an element of like, we know the son's there. We know stuff's happening. And even Patrick's last line of like, why? The genuine confusion, like the delivery makes it feel like even he knew that this was a setup of some sort.
Or
like, why?
Or just questioning like, why were there so many steps? Why, in a weird way, why couldn't this have been simpler?
Oh, I didn't take it like that, but that's an interesting way. And again, that ultra violence does come in. Like we see his brain popping out of the back of his head from how hard it's been hit.
Yeah.
It's gruesome.
The son's not taking it well at all.
Yeah, what did you make of that stuff overall, the Patrick and Michelle relationship, and like how it all boils down there at the end, like the way that they all, like how it comes to a head? Like, what's your takes or feelings on it?
Of the theories, I don't know that I subscribe to the one that it was a setup for like the son to take him out, because it just seemed like a little bit too many variables there. Like she tells the son, like, oh, Patrick's going to drive me home. Here's the keys. Come back later. But, he comes like immediately. I don't know if that was the plan there. I think it would be something between one of the other two. Like this was just either another spurring on, or that, there was meant to be like a life ending there, whether it was him or her.
Yeah. And do you, we're talking about all this stuff. But do you, what's the value of the Patrick-Michelle relationship and the way that they play with things? Like, you were talking before about like subversions of expectations and taking turns, but then we're so in her mindset that we start to understand it all. But what is the value? What is your takeaway from this major left turn in the story? Because again, in most stories, most things like this would not go this direction.
Walking into this episode, I don't think I had an answer to that, but you mentioned before, power, she's in control. It might just be that, she was trying to have power take control of this situation with this man. She had feelings for him. Turns out that he is the one that raped her. And she, doesn't call the police because, she has her own feelings about the police. In the end, like the police come because, murder happened. So maybe it was just that, like, her pursuing a relationship with him, as messed up as it was her having some sort of power in that dynamic, maybe?
Or relinquishing power because he is the one that takes it. Like Patrick in their relationship, he's assaulting her. He's beating her. He's the dom in their relationship. While in her other relationships, we see even in the one in her office, one of the best scenes of the movie is she finds out that this young guy in her office is the one that made the deepfake porn and is in love with her, and she very coldly, calmly is just like, okay, show me your penis. And he's just like,
sorry, I've forgotten, was he in love with her?
Yeah. That young guy?
Yeah,
he's the one that's in love with her. Yeah. He's the one that's like her biggest fan, and like he's sexualizing her because he's turned on by her.
Oh,
the other guy,
right.
The blonde-haired guy with the beard, is the one that fucking hates her.
No, I remembered that. I forgot that guy was like her fan. I thought it was
he was the one that was like, he loves her. Like,
oh, okay. I forgot that. I thought it was like
betrayal that he did that.
Yeah.
But like, again, in her sexual and personal relationships with men, she is in charge. She's the one that calls the limits. She says, get your penis out. Oh, how beautiful. And things like that. But then in this relationship with Patrick, she does have control, but also it's the lack of it, which is...
Well, but the setting up of it would be the thing that I would say is like her having the power. Because like...
Yes, but that's like the role play of it. Like, this is the thing about... There is such a thing in kinks as non-consent consent relationships.
Oh, yeah, dubious consent. I know that.
And that's kind of what this is dancing around of like, yes, she's in control of like making possibly, again, the film leaves it vague, possibly in control of setting this up, but it's the pleasure of the fantasy of not being in control.
Yes.
He's in control.
Yes, but I think the consistent thing, unless I'm forgetting, is that after the reveal of like who the rapist was, like all of the times where they did get together may have been set up by her, which I
Yeah.
would say is
Yeah, but you're talking, yes, set up, but the fantasy of the actual act itself would
yes.
be the non-control part. Like, yes, there's still control, but that's the thing. Like, she controls her non-control.
I'm just saying that her having the first step would like count as her having like some sort of power.
Oh, of course. And then,
And the fact that she isn't being killed at the end and she's going to live and, they're
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
continue is,
Oh,
that's what
yeah.
I meant.
Yes. She even asks how many other people he's done this to, and he's unwilling to answer that because the answer is more.
And when his wife comes back
Oh.
at the end after, he's dead and like the body's being taken away, she has a line where it's he was something like along the lines of, like, he was a good man, and she thanked her for
helping him,
like giving him what he needed.
Mm-hmm. Indicating she knew the whole time.
Yeah, she knew something was up.
Yeah, I don't even think it's she knew something was up. I think she knew. Just she knew what his deal. He was a man. What was it? He was a good man with a tortured soul.
Mm.
And again, the Catholicism reeks high because
she's like the like ultra Christian character of the film.
Because how many times, sadly, have we heard, when Catholic priests and these monsters did these horrible things? Oh, they were a good man, but a tortured soul.
Mm.
It's a lot. It's lots. It's very much. And that line is just like, even Michelle's like left like blindsided by that. Even she's like, what the fuck? Like, okay. Like, I thought this was a thing between me and him, but you knew. Like, there's just a level of like, the actress just portrays it with like, whoa. And the other actress, she just says it so warmly that it's kind of upsetting.
That's kind of why I said, like, downplayed her like knowledge, because like just the way she says it makes it seem like she's like distancing herself from it.
Yeah, but still, I think that's a part of it.
Yeah, I know. That's the like the surface level thing of what she said. There's like, wait, that implies that means you knew something.
Is there anything else you want to say about Elle, the film itself? I'd love to talk about some of the behind the scenes more, but anything about this film itself? Any scenes, moments, story strands, character beats?
No, we mentioned like the characters in The Office already, so I think we got roughly everything.
Did you think she participated in the spree that her father did when she was young?
I don't think so. I think that she, when the father came home, like he made her, help burn the bodies. I don't think she participated in the spree itself, though. I think she has too many lines throughout the film where, like, she's just too disgusted with him and with the police. Like, she was let down by not just her father but them. So I think,
but it could be it's because of what her father made her rather than what she wanted to be.
Oh, for sure, but I think she is a victim of circumstance.
Oh yeah, there is that line though. There's this one line, the way she says it leaves me questioning, where she says her whole story and then she talks about the image of her and how that's the thing everyone remembers, and then she even admits like the look in her eyes, or the vacant look in her eyes. Just the way that she says it and the way she leans back, there's just something so unnerving about it that I go, that there to me is like the one element that stands out the most of like, she may have participated in it more than she's admitting, but like that's the brilliance of this type of movie is they're not spelling it out. They're not giving you direct answers. They're giving you these uneasy things that you imbue from your own gut feeling and from what you intuit from the performances. Hence, I mentioned the film Burning earlier from South Korea. Like that's all of that film is that with the performances. And this has moments just sprinkled in like that.
Like with that moment, I intuit that that's something along the lines of like, oh, this is the moment where I lost my innocence. There for all to see forever.
Yeah, and it never came back. So behind the scenes wise, this film again nominated for a lot of awards. People were very upset that she did not win the Academy Award for her performance because it's really good.
Yeah, it did better at the Golden Globes, right?
It did well at the Golden Globes. She is the third French actress or foreign language actress to win a Golden Globe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was 2 others, one in the 60s and one in the 80s, I'm pretty sure. I was reading up on that for Elle, and Paul Verhoeven, first French language film, and he had to learn French because he wanted it to be a full French production. The only people who weren't French was his personal assistant and his editor.
Yeah, they're like 2.
That's it. He ditched all of his usual people. Like, he has a usual stable of people. Like, his cinematographer that he usually has wasn't involved. His music guy wasn't involved. Like, he wanted a full French crew for this because a French film needs to be French. This was based on a French novel as well that I'm forgetting the name. It was something very simple.
It was like O or something?
like OH ...
Yeah.
And it was a French novel, and it's like, we tried to adapt it into, other languages, but it just kept coming back to it needs to be French. Something about it spoke to him as it needs to be French. And so he had to learn French. He previously had some French knowledge, but really nothing. And so...
Yeah, so it was a bit easy.
It was a little bit easier, but still stressful. Like, what was it? He said he was getting headaches and migraines in the months leading up to it because of just the stress of like failure that could happen.
Or like
from
the prospect of working with like a whole bunch of like people he doesn't know when, as you just said, he's got like a crew.
Yeah. And, English wasn't viable. Like, it just wasn't well enough. Like, it was just too clunky because with a film, with a production, you need to be able to communicate everything you need.
Oh, that's the director's job. You need to communicate during production.
You need to communicate during production. And so he had to learn French and, start to be able to inhabit that. And he loved this experience so much that his next film, Benedetta, was one where it's another French film. He works with the actress who plays the wife of Patrick in this film. She's Benedetta. So he really liked her performance and was like, I'm going to put you in the lead of my next movie. And that came out only a couple of years ago. So big breaks between some of his movies. This was 2016 and that one was 2022. So bit of a break. But I just want to comment on that alone of him learning the language and all of this. How many times over do we see foreign filmmakers come over to Western world, like, Ang Lee, for example, or even Park Chan-wook with Stoker. So many foreign filmmakers come over, do their English language projects or whatever, and then, it's like, oh, how good of them. But I feel like we don't hear enough of the opposite way around, where like English filmmakers, English-speaking filmmakers and whatnot, feel like this project really is this country. I need to go over there and I need to do it. Like, you do have some, like Martin Scorsese's had a few foreign language movies, but like to this, even Clint Eastwood with one of his films, but like it feels like it's usually expected, I guess, or more routine for a foreign filmmaker to have to make the jump over to English rather than an English language filmmaker having to go the other way around. Do you disagree, or do you...
I just don't know that it's that common to really be a thing.
Yeah, but I mean, think about our podcast. We've had so many filmmakers who are like, oh, they were a big filmmaker in blank country, or they've had to do this, and then they've had to do their, their English language equivalent. But I feel like we don't, or actors, Mads Mikkelsen we mentioned before.
Actors would be a bigger one for that, I would say, yeah.
But again, even with actors and directors, I just don't feel like we hear about it in the inverse as much. Like, it's more of an expectation that Shah Rukh Khan will have to learn English than if...
Hey, he knows English. He says fish.
And then an English guy having to learn, Hindi or anything like that. So
yeah. We also do have In Desert and Wilderness, where they just got an American to direct it, and then they had the...
Polish dub over?
The Polish dub, and also having the African kids, like, phonetically say the lines even though they don't know Polish.
Yeah, because I guess I find this more interesting because thinking
I find it interesting. I just don't think it's that common.
I don't know, like, I feel like it, not
at least I haven't heard as many cases
in terms of English. Yeah,
to call it, like, the culture of someone doing the film in another country, like, it happens, yeah, but I don't know. Because
I feel like we've had so many filmmakers who have been like, who are foreign filmmakers, Asian filmmakers, European filmmakers, who are like, this film needs, this film has to be, an English film, or it has to be this film, or it has to be about this time period or this thing. I'm going to go out of my way. I'm going to learn the language. I'm going to do this, this, this. Like when we did the Handmaid, and like that one was an English novel set in contemporary London, and he's like, I need it to be about Korea and Japan during the turn of the century. It's like, why? Because it called to him, and he had to learn about that stuff. He had to do that stuff, or on and on we go. But like, there are certain American or English filmmakers that they do that, but it doesn't feel as often, especially actors. I think Dan Stevens is the one actor I know who did a German film in the last couple of years. He's like, I learned German and I did a full German movie. I'm like, oh, good for you, buddy. Good for you. But that is it. Would you recommend Elle?
I would recommend Elle. Just know that it's a heavy film, and if you've listened to our discussion, you know what to expect.
It's also funny. Weirdly funny, but
if you have that sort of humor bone, I guess I could see people watching this entire thing and not thinking it's funny. Yeah.
What did you find funny? I didn't hear too much about you. Like, what was a funny moment for you?
Yeah, it was just a lot of little things. Just her unexpected, straight-faced reactions to things. I don't know that there was like any super like laugh out loud moments, but yeah, it was just sprinkled throughout, like just little bits of, unnerving humor.
I said it, but one of the funniest scenes is her demanding that her coworker show his penis, and then her saying in a very flat tone of voice, "It's beautiful, looks circumcised," and then he gets upset and puts his pants back on.
No, I think it was uncircumcised.
Oh, yeah,
because the rapist was circumcised. I think that was yeah.
But then he puts his pants back up and he's like, "Okay, stop it, stop mocking me."
The scene where they scattered the ashes too. That was a good scene of making it awkward without going to cringe humor, kind of awkward, because there's a huge relationship blow up between her son and his partner, and then it extends to the son and the mum having this disagreement, storming off. Everyone's angry and awkward, and then she just goes back to all right, I guess we could scatter the ashes here. It's waiting for the wind, just doing the mechanics of the reason why they're going there.
I recommend, of course I do. I think this film is not for everyone, but that's a part of why it's great. It is divisive, it is provocative, but without it coming across as only that. I think there's so much here to appreciate. It's one of those films that puts you in the shoes of the main character so succinctly that even you start to look at normal interactions differently because the character does. And there's just one moment of acting that's so natural, so real, so filled with history that I just want to flag up as we end this, which is her ex-husband is talking about why he broke up, or why the relationship with his new girlfriend deteriorated and broke up. And it's because she claimed to have read all of his books. And he asked which was her favorite, and she named the wrong book from a different author.
Like the same last name?
With the same last name. And he just jokingly says, and Michelle's like, I didn't even know that there was another one. And he just jokingly says, yes, apparently he's an excellent writer, one that writes good books. And they have a nice little chuckle about that. That was so real. That felt like two people who have known each other for so long, and just that old exes kind of having a laugh about how their relationships have gone since they've been together. That was so real to me. But yes, highly recommend. Now, the next episode of the podcast is the Listening People's recommendation. And we have a wide array of options. And I was saying to Bartek before that one of our friends gave us a huge amount of recommendations, and that one of them you recommended.
It turns out The Hateful Eight was one of the films there, and I didn't realize.
So we're going to do The Hateful Eight again. No, Sorab recommended, our good friend Sorab recommended so many movies on there, and I'm looking at them and I'm going, oh boy, there's a lot of movies, and I'm just going to, I looked at it and I just pointed at random and said, okay, that will do. And I think that's good because I don't know, I haven't seen this movie, and I doubt you have. We're going to check out The Northman, which I think's a Viking movie with Alexander Skarsgård, one of the Skarsgårds. But everyone make sure to check out The Northman. Very, very fascinating. It's the one film from this director I haven't seen, Robert Eggers, who did The Witch and The Lighthouse and most recently Nosferatu. It's the one film of his I haven't seen, but I heard it's very interesting. One that I will only say this: when you're done watching it, look up the budget of the movie and then compare it to the budgets of his other films. That's kind of the vibe.
Okay.
It's the film where it's like they gave him a budget and what did he do with it type movie. But that is it. Make sure to give that a watch for yourself. But in the meantime, Bartek, where can people find us and how can they contact us if they have recommendations for movies?
You can find us on the internet at the various places. Some of those various places are Twitter/x.com, where we have an account, Spit and Polish Presents. We have a Facebook page also called Spit and Polish Presents. YouTube channel where we upload every episode that we do. That's also, Spit and Polish Presents. And we have an email that you can contact us directly at, which is spitandpolished@gmail.com. You can use any of the above to contact us and give us recommendations or just say whatever.
We have it all in the description at your ease, so please make sure to check those out. Rate, review, share the podcast around, all of those things you hear at the end. But until next time, listening people, remember to be kind to each other. And Bartek, you like cats.
What?
You're a fan of cats, or as they say in Poland?
Koty.
Yep. Thank you. And what's dog in Polish?
Pieski.
Which is spelled like?
Pies is spelled like pies. Pies.
But do you have a favorite cat in media? Like a fictional cat? Because I said, this is one of my... I'm not joking. This film has one of my favorite cats. I love this fucking cat. But do you have a cat, whether it's an animated one or a real one that you just go, I love that cat?
It's hard to pick. I will say that on the podcast, one that I always think back on is the one from Bewitched. Just like a little cat with such big eyes.
I don't even remember this cat, but now...
It wasn't a big deal there, but it was just really, really cute. And I think in the episode, I didn't really talk about it that much because, the cat person's going on about the cat. But Bewitched has a really nice cat.
What about I Killed Einstein, gentlemen?
That's good.
That has a great... He has it in his pocket.
Yeah, good use of cat. I feel like it's a cat we always see the profile of. It's being used as a prop a bit more, but I like that they use the cat in that film a lot.
What about the cat in Mr. Scarface? The one where he opens up his medicine cabinet and it's inside meowing at him.
Again, that's another prop one, yeah.
Prop as in we open it up and there's a fucking cat there now. But you're looking at cutie cats, and the one in Bewitched starring Will Ferrell.
Yeah, and I'm sticking to live action just because...
Top tier cutie cats. Bewitched, starring Will Ferrell and Nicole Kidman.
Underrated cat.
Underrated cat.
Check out that episode. Listen to our Uncle Arthur discussion.
We did Dog Month. We should have done Underrated Cat Month. What would be some cat movies? I don't even know. Cat people? We should have done that.
Yeah. Post Kevin Spacey revisit of Mr. Fuzzy Pants or whatever. Nine Lives.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That would be fucked. We go back to our commentary track and we do a commentary of our commentary where we explain to ourselves in the past why Kevin Spacey did that movie. We know now. I don't know why Barry Sonnenfeld directed that movie. Please, someone write in. Why did acclaimed director and brilliant cinematographer, the cinematographer for Miller's Crossing, why did he direct Nine Lives? We know why Kevin Spacey starred in it, but why did he do it?
We just got to watch the film again for when the guy jumps off the building and the cat jumps with him.